Alright guys, with Spider-Man 2 PS5 out, we have so many new Spider-Man suits that can be made in LEGO, and in today's video, I made as many as possible using 100% official LEGO parts and pieces. Now, some of these figures are made up using really rare Spider-Mans, but a lot of them are made using relatively common pieces, so hopefully there's a little something for everybody here, and here's what I would love. First, if you hit like and subscribe down below, but second, comment down below how many of these you have or how many of them you can make. I'd love to see if there's anybody out here who can make all of them, so drop a comment down below and stay tuned for more. I'm going to do a separate video based on all of Miles' suits, and once I have time to process through the whole game and all the characters, I'll do a giant showcase showing you how to build every single character, every single villain, every single side character, everything from the game. So with that being said, let's take a look at all the Peter Parker suits today and get into the video. So with so many suits to tackle, the only way to get through this, in my opinion, is to do it in alphabetical order because it's just going to be chaotic any other way. So of course, that leads us at the top here with the advanced suit. And look, the one on the left is the Comic-Con exclusive figure. This has got to be like $1,000 or more now because of how rare it is. And it's definitely the most accurate because it's literally based off the game. But I also wanted to make a custom because I know most people aren't going to be able to get this one. So your next best option is building a custom. I'll give you a flip around here too, because on the custom I gave him the like Iron Spider type arms to match the game, and of course you don't need to do that, but if you have these extra arms from the 4+ Doc Ock, well, that would sure come in handy now. And yeah, like I said, the most accurate way to do this is the PS4 Comic-Con figure, but if you want to build the custom, the legs come from the CMF Superman, the torso comes from Spidey and His Amazing Friends. We've got the printed arms from the LEGO Marvel collectible minifigure series. Of course, that's the Spider-Man there with the arm printing, and the head comes from the Spider-Man from like 2018, 2019, something like that gives you the little blue tint around the eyes. Of course, there's a lot of different ways that you could mash this up with pieces in your collection, but in my opinion, the most important part is that torso with the white spider, because that's really the closest you can get to the PS4 or PS5 suit without breaking the bank and going all the way for the Comic-Con one. Alright, in alphabetical order, that takes us to the Amazing suits. Of course, these are the Andrew Garfield style suits, which are really cool that they're in the game. Let's just start on the right side here with the Amazing 2 suit. Obviously, this is the one from the new Spider-Man Final Battle set from No Way Home. Tough to get more accurate than that. And of course, there is a Comic-Con figure from back in the day, but I know nobody's gonna have that, so there's really no point in even showing it. For the Amazing 1 suit, I wanted to kind of balance out the gold from the eyes, which we see, and this comes from the classic Iron Spider, the very first LEGO Iron Spider ever. The torso comes from the concept art version of Tom Holland's Civil War Spider-Man from the Tanker Truck Showdown. Of course, that does give you some nice arm printing too, which wouldn't look so bad on the Andrew suit if you wanted to give that a go. And then, ironically, the legs come from the MCU Iron Spider. That way you get the red, the blue, and a little bit of gold to help accent the head, and I like the way that that looks, and I think that that looks pretty good for right now. Next up is the Anti-Ock suit. Of course, this comes from the last game. This might be the first time ever with a custom that I've devolved it, because this suit is the Stealth Spider-Man suit from the Spider-Man lair from all the way back in 2021, if I got my years right. But the crazy thing is, that figure actually had green leg printing, but in the game, he's got regular black legs. So like I said, this might be the very first time I've ever made a figure intentionally look worse than what LEGO gave us, but I suppose there's a first for everything given enough time. Okay, up next is the Anti-Venom suit. The torso comes from Spider-Woman, or Spider-Girl, I think it's actually Spider-Girl now that I say it out loud, from Spider-Man from a couple years back. That looks really good with the big black spider on the chest. Then, of course, we've got white arms and hands and white legs, and the head is where things kind of start to fall apart for me, if I'm being honest. Hey, I'm okay to critique myself here. I used the Moon Knight head, or specifically Mr. Knight from the LEGO Marvel CMF series, but some other good options could be the White Tiger head from Spider-Man, or maybe even the Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider head from Spidey and His Amazing Friends. If I could only pick one, I think I would still go with the Mr. Knight head, but honestly, let me know in the comments which one you would go for to get the look down the best. I don't know that any of them are perfect, but maybe we can decide it in the comments and move on from there. So after the Marvel CMF Series 2 came out, ironically, I actually already made an Arachnite figure, but I went ahead and updated it for this video because he does look a little different in the game versus the comic book. The main change I made was with the arms. These arms come from Deadshot from the LEGO DC line, and that's really cool because you get the arm printing there with all the like silver gizmos and gadgets. Then the cape, headpiece, and legs come from Moon Knight from the LEGO CMF Series 2, and the head and body come from Spider-Woman or Spider-Girl. I always get them mixed up. I can't remember what it is. But anyways, it's the one that comes in the Ultimate Bridge Battle set, and I actually really love the way that this figure came together. It's honestly one of my favorites in the entire showcase. Up next is the black and gold Spider-Man suit, and this one's the easiest one to make so far, maybe with the exception of the Andrew Garfield one, because it's literally just the figure that came from the Spider-Man No Way Home sets. In fact, these are still available in stores at some places. It's getting hard to find, but it is a really great figure, and one of my favorite Spider-Man outfits, honestly, as far as LEGO figures go. With all the great printing on the arms and everything, this was such a great figure back in the day, and I think people are really going to regret not getting this one if they haven't got it already, because it's just so cool and unique. Alright, we've got another sticky situation here, Spider-Man pun intended. The figure on the left is the 2012 Comic-Con exclusive black suit Spider-Man, which, for a lot of LEGO Spider-Man fans, this is a very frustrating figure because how is it that one of the most popular costumes ever was a Comic-Con exclusive and they only made 1,000 of it? Well, of course, I want to give you guys an option of how you can make the black suit Spider-Man in this game fashion because, of course, it's a big part of the game. So what I did here is I used the same torso as the Comic-Con Spider-Man because it came from Venom from just the regular Marvel set. So it's a relatively common torso. Luckily, he just has plain black legs, and the head comes from the Mighty Micros Magneto, if you can believe it. If you turn the figure around, you could see he's got that like old man Magneto face. It looks pretty bad, but at least from the front, it looks pretty good, and it's kind of our best option right now. And the hands are actually custom. Of course, I'd recommend just keeping black hands on there if you want to stay purist, but these hands I got a while back. I don't even remember from where, but it's cool that they have like the white patches on the back like we see in the comics and video games, so that's just a cool little extra thing you can add on there. Honestly, you could even do that with like a Sharpie pen or whiteout. It'd be pretty easy to do either way, but you know, not a necessary thing, just something cool you could add if you feel like it. Our next suit is the classic suit, and to keep it classic, I used the regular LEGO Spider-Man we started getting in 2021 from LEGO for their comic book sets. Now, 2021 feels like it was a lifetime ago at this point, but it was so hyped to get a comic book Spider-Man with arm printing, and I still love this figure all these years later. Of course, he's got the red and blue dual molded legs, and it's just pretty simple, but that's what it means to be classic in the first place, so let's just keep it simple with this one and leave him as is. Up next is the Homecoming suit, and of course this is the homemade suit from Spider-Man Homecoming, and this was a figure that really blew up on my channel years ago. I think I've made some slight changes to it, but anyways, this red hood piece is relatively rare. It came on some figure from Ninjago. I'm sure some comment warrior will let me know exactly what figure it came from, but the head comes from the Mighty Micros Scarlet Spider figure. That way you get the Spider-Man eyes without any printing on the head. Looks pretty good. The torso comes from the Devil Trick-or-Treater from the LEGO CMF series with these kind of like off blue arms, dark red hands to match the hood, and then these legs with dark red feet and kind of like light blue jeans come from Amy from the LEGO Big Bang Theory set. So like I said, this figure has a lot of history here on the channel. It's one of the earliest customs I made, and it's definitely a cool one all this time later, and it's awesome to pull it out of the archives to show you guys again today. Alright, the game calls this the hybrid suit, but we know it as the Spider-Man integrated suit from No Way Home. Honestly, this figure is pretty perfect out of the box, so I left it as is as far as the head, torso, and legs are concerned, but just to give him a little extra detail, I used the black and red dual molded arms from any of the Incredibles figures from the Incredibles 2 sets a couple years back. Up next is the Into the Spider-Verse Noir suit. Now, LEGO did give us a Spider-Man Noir minifig a couple years back, so of course I just used that exactly the way he came out of the box, and I kind of wish we had gotten more Into the Spider-Verse suits, but still, this was cool in the game, and that's what DLC's for, so maybe we'll get more in the future. How awesome would it be to play this game as Spider-Ham? Like, that would seriously be amazing. Up next is the Iron Spider suit from the MCU, and thankfully LEGO did give us this back during the Infinity War wave of sets, so pretty good there. The only thing I changed out is giving him the dual molded legs from pretty much any of the Spider-Man Homecoming or Far From Home figures, because I think that that looks a little bit better than the legs we actually got on him. And as a refresher, we got those legs right here, and I used those on the Amazing One suit. So I do think the dual molded legs look a lot better here, and they actually serve pretty well for the Andrew figure, so it all works out in the end. Another easy figure to represent is the Iron Spider comic book suit, because LEGO did give us an Iron Spider a couple years ago, and it's come in a couple of different places, like some of those paper bags over in Europe, and it came in a set here in the US, so unfortunately he's not in any sets currently, but it shouldn't be too hard to track one down if you still need to get one. Alright, up next is Scarlet Spider, a big old fan favorite, and unfortunately this figure, as awesome as it is pretty expensive if you don't already have him, because he only came in one set, and it is one of the most iconic Spider-Man variant suits of all time. This figure came in the Ultimate Bridge Battle from a few years back. Definitely a great set, can't recommend it enough to pick up, but it is an expensive figure these days, so a good alternative is the Mighty Micro Spider-Man. You could just put some tall red legs on him. I think he's relatively expensive too for what he is, but at least it's cheaper than getting the big boy if you can't swing that, so I always like to try and give you guys some options if I can. Okay, up next is the Secret Wars Civil War suit, and honestly, I don't really know much about this as far as comics lore go, but it's still a pretty interesting suit. And what I did to get the look is I used the CMF head and torso for Spider-Man from the Marvel CMF Series 1. I gave him this gray neck bracket to kind of build out that bulkiness we see there, and then for the legs, I gave him the really great dual molded and super detailed legs from the Nightmare Batman from Batman vs. Superman a couple years back. Unfortunately, that figure's starting to get pretty expensive too, but I do think that this pulls off the look pretty well, and I always try to give you guys the best options. If you don't have those legs, I'd recommend any kind of khaki legs just to kind of get that general look down, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't think these legs were the best option. Alright, Spider-Man 2099 is up next, and just like that Scarlet Spider a few figures back, this figure has gotten really expensive. He came in one set in 2019, and now, especially after Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, he has skyrocketed in price. Unfortunately, guys, I don't really have any fix for this one. I have to recommend that you get this figure. It's such a great one, but I really don't know what else to say, because there aren't really any parts that look more like this figure than what we have here, so I recommend trying to hunt down that figure, and best of luck trying to find a deal out there. Here we've got the stealth suit from Far From Home, and I did think about upgrading this with the Black Widow arms that have the printing on them from the movie or video game version, excuse me. But I do think that that adds a little bit too much gold to the arms, so I just kept it classic and used the exact figure from Far From Home the way he came in the Molten Man Battle set. Okay, up next is a figure that was really popular here on the channel, and this is the Superior Spider-Man suit. Of course, this is from the comic storyline where Doc Ock takes over Peter Parker's body, and I almost dismantled this figure recently, and I'm actually glad that I kept it together, because of course I need him right now. The torso comes from Miles Morales, because it's basically the best option we have for a black and red torso. The arms are those Incredibles arms from, you know, the Disney Pixar Incredibles line of sets. Then I used the CMF Spider-Man head with black legs, and to build out those awesome tentacles, it was actually relatively difficult. You have to get these red clips from Carnage from Lego Marvel, and then the short arms are actually red hot dogs, which of course you could just get from red hot dogs, but I didn't have enough in my collection, so I actually had to rob and borrow a couple of them from the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. Boy, that entire last sentence was probably never said in human history, but I guess I'm setting the world record for that one. Alright, here we've got the upgraded Far From Home suit, and I used the head, torso, and legs from the official one that LEGO gave us, but I did make one change. I used these arms from the MCU Spider-Man, but I took a black Sharpie and colored them in, and honestly, from a distance, it's hard to tell. I actually had to take a close look at this because I thought they were official, but I do think that that's a great way to add some detail to the arms, and yeah, you gotta break the purist method with a little bit of Sharpie work, but it does look pretty good in the end, so I think the trade-off is kind of worth it. Now, in alphabetical order, I am skipping ahead over 4 suits because, unfortunately, there are a couple of suits that I just don't know how I would approach them in LEGO form yet, so I'm going to keep thinking on it and try to make those here. But for right now, we've got the new red and blue suit, aka the final swing suit from Spider-Man No Way Home. This suit looks so great on screen in the movie, and to represent it, I just went ahead and used the CMF Spider-Man from the CMF Series 1, because it looks pretty accurate to what we saw in the movie and what we see in the video game, so why change a great thing if it looks so good? The game calls this the upgraded classic suit, but we know it as the Stark suit from Spider-Man Homecoming. I went ahead and used the one from the Sanctum Sanctorum because I do think that it's honestly the best representation. Of course, you get the printing on the dual molded feet there that looks good. You get the great arm printing on this. And honestly, it's hard not to say that this is one of the better MCU Spider-Man figures, so I think that this is our best option here. And finally, our last figure is the webbed suit, aka the Toby Maguire suit. The figure I'm showing you here is the Toby Maguire Spider-Man figure from the Spider-Man Final Battle from No Way Home that came out in 2023. It's a great figure, and yeah, there is a Toby from 2004 that looks really good too, but I want to try to keep the bar for entry as low as possible so that you can build as many of these as possible, and since this one is actually on store shelves right now, I think it makes the most sense to suggest this one. So with that, let's go ahead and round out this video and bring it to a close. Alright guys, let me know what you thought of this video in the comments down below. This was a lot of hard work to research and put all these figures together, but I hope you loved the end result, and like I said, stay tuned for a Miles video just like this coming soon, and a giant showcase where I show you how to build everybody from Spider-Man 2 PS5. I'll catch you guys on the next video, and until next time, build on.